Hello and aloha to all the people of the planet. My name is Abbas Tamori. I'm the elder of Baha'u'llah on the planet Earth, trying to elucidate and fix the problem for the people. And long time no see. Time is 11 o'clock. Today is the 1st of the year 2015. Some people telling me that you promised you might die last year, and I told them, yeah, it was conditioned upon a few things. I guess the granddaddy didn't want to happen yet. I'm in this position of punishment till the things that he wants to fix. I was wondering, and there are some good things happening. Nothing that's intriguing to me anymore, to be honest with you. But I guess God is not disappointed that mankind has come all the way from the cave not too many years ago, and back from the cave to here. He hasn't done too badly, with a reference to whatever we call invention, or wrongly we call it civilization. He has made a lot of tools, basically. But socially and spiritually also, he has evolved, there's no doubt. And overall, I guess God is happy with him, except his glitches that it happens here and there. I've been meaning to speak about this topic tonight a long time, but there were a few issues, not even personal. It could mean pertain to the fate of God, that brought these topics. I received a letter, email, a long time ago from a very good Baha'i. His name is Tim in Australia. How strange it is that sometimes we can really become the Gabriel to each other and inspire each other. I do not know what I know before I'm asked a question. When people ask the questions and I attempt to answer, then as I dig in the files, I find answers. Then I know, wow, I guess I knew this one too. These questions are actually some solution, according to Tim, that he brought was that basically for the unifications of the Anglo-Saxon race, Americans, Australian, Canadians, England, English people, all the 4 basic races in there, whether Irish or Walish or Scottish English. In order to create a unity among them, we'll have to create an attention towards their common enemy, which would be the Muslims, and Muslim ISIS, that is, ISIL, ISIS, the crazy fundamentalist Muslims that they are threatening supposedly the world. These guys are threatening themselves more than anybody else before they threaten other people. But I was thinking that for the sake of the unity of the mankind, of people in general, we should point out the common enemies, and maybe we can unite on this. Now, the very format of achieving unity and then doing something for it which is not necessarily right, but it might unite people, that is not a good idea. That's called Machiavellism, where, you know, as that, I don't know if you heard, you know of him, Machiavelli, I think he was an Italian. He says basically the ends justifies the means, and you can, for your goal, you can do anything. If you have to kill, if you have to destroy, if you have to do anything wrong, it's okay as long as you reach your goal. And that definitely is not the case with the Baha'i Faith. Absolutely not. So this brought up a topic for me to think about what he said. Although I have referred this a few times before, but this time I'm going to bring it in a more, you know, specific. And really, the greatest enemy, possibly, that we can imagine for the faith of God, Baha'i Faith, or even other religions, has been one single blow that devastates it. No one can hurt it that much. As much as if we change this spiritual mission of God into a social mission. Change the spirit of the faith to create a social achievement. This is the worst single blow to the faith of God. I've explained before in my topics that in my divisions of thought that we people have essentially, we can classify three types of problem we have. We have economical problem, which are the solutions we have to find to the material means, material upkeep of our body and the environment where the body is. Okay. The social dilemma and the social aspect of our problem is our individual relationship with one another, where we create friendship, family, city, country, province, states. And the spiritual problem that it's for the soul, for the spirit, not for the body. So these three types of problem of the spiritual, economical, material, and social, they're all intertwined completely. And this is where we mess it up. If you want to fix the economical problem or even a spiritual problem, we'll have to create social relationship with people. We can't be a spiritual or achieve it to live in a cave. That's asceticism. You know, that Hindus do. They think they have to go somewhere in seclusion. Baha'i Faith does not accept that. It says that to achieve kindness is in the relationship with others, forgiveness, bravery. All these spiritual qualities and attributes, it all comes with the relationship with other people. That's where it originates. So is the economical problem. We need people, we need social relationship. And the problem is this. In a social event, in a social activity, if we want to become a president, if we want to become somebody in the politics, or even solve some certain problem for amongst us. It ends up to become famous, fame, and all that jazz. But a Baha'i and a Baha'i activity is the spiritual activity, then it's in relationship with people, using the social activities as a catalyst to get it done. It's not to become famous. We're not trying to be famous. We're not, a Baha'i does not teach the Baha'i faith or thinking that make the faith of God very famous among the people. That's not it at all. That's totally a social thing. The biggest problem is that, especially among Iranians I've seen, in this relation they said, very well, we know that. People write books, speak, and do things to become famous. We Baha'is, we don't want to do that. We're not after that. But we like the fame, not for ourselves, but for the cause of God. And therefore we are spiritual. I'm not writing these books for myself, he says. I'm not teaching the cause of God here to become famous myself. I'm doing all of this because I want the faith of God to become famous among the people. If you want to make the Baha'i faith to be famous, to be known, socially, that's exactly killing it. Because this is not a social movement. I have to elaborate the subject, and I'm very tired. Right now time is 11 o'clock, and tomorrow at 6 o'clock in the afternoon I'm going to India. Let me see, I've written a few things for myself that I can remember at this point to tell you. If we like to safeguard the faith of God by our own machinations, by our own intelligence, cleverness, albeit very good, this will kill it. If you want to safeguard the faith of God, it has a formula. It's written in a book. This is not a man-made thing that you can go and think what to do about it, how to make it. Our mind is not capable of formulating this. Therefore, we cannot repair it, cannot fix it. There's nothing wrong with it to be repaired. It just has to operate according to the book. But still, understanding it is very hard. Shoghi Effendi always says that, the unwisdom of the followers of the cause of God, as well as the enmity of the others, they're just as harmful. We like to help it. We have that in the Baha'i Faith. When the Bab was martyred in Tabriz, in the north of Iraq, of a fellow from Tabriz, I think. His name is Mullah Sadiq of Tabriz. He was really hurt. And he decided to get some guns, not with a bullet, with a pallet gun, that doesn't even kill rabbits, kills the sparrows. he loaded and went to kill the king because he was hurt. And that caused a ton of problem. Lots of great Baha'is, including Tahira, was killed because of it. Baha'u'llah put right into prison because of it. They thought this is an attempt of an assassination by Baha'u'llah. Why? Because the fellow, wholeheartedly, pure intention, was trying to safeguard the faith of God, the cause of God. And he wants to do it his ways. And that's what happened. This is exactly what happened in Iran. The spiritual religion of Muhammad, the Islam, turned by the late Ayatollah Khomeini into politics. It became a social movement. And that devastated it. Because it's not a social movement. This is not politics. Even though all of them they knew. Imam Ali had said that. I've been the smartest Arab. If it wasn't for piety, if it wasn't for the spiritual value, I'm the smartest Arab to do things. But he says it doesn't go with the spiritual. Why Islam broke down into Shiite and Sunnis? Because the follower of Muhammad, as soon as he died and ascended, they looked and they said, how could this Ali, this young Imam Ali, to be the leader of all these old people here? No, that can't be. The oldest man has to be the successor of Muhammad. Then they put Abu Bakr, which he agreed with it. And then it was Omar, the second oldest. And then it came to Uthman. And finally, Imam Ali came at the end, after many years. The only reason is that they could not see in their spiritual eye that young or old does not mean anything in the faith of God. They felt no, Muhammad could be repaired, what Muhammad did could mean this and that. So as a result, they brought wrong people to be the successors of Prophet. Imam Ali tried to stay away from it as much as he could, called that essentially a social movement. So there were kings, fine. And he tried to say that I am Wali, which is the guardian, and they are Khalifa. But at the end he had to accept it to be a Khalifa himself because he wanted to show what a good social leader should be. It didn't work too long because he was killed. So, as a result, Islam broke down into Shiite and Sunni. Not that Omar did not have the intention of promulgating Islam, but he saw this is a social movement. His idea was very simple. We're going to attack Iran. We're going to kill all the guys. We're going to rape all the women. After 20 years, they all will born new kids. Whose father is Arab. As a result, they speak Arabic. They're born Muslim. What do you want? They're all Muslims now. And Imam Ali said, no, this is not Islam at all. Islam was what Muhammad did that sends to the king of Ethiopia, Habasha they called it those days. He sent some envoys to go talk to this Christian king, and he became a Muslim. And Imam Ali did not agree with Iranians to be attacked. They were most civilized people. They had to be taught the Islams. But Omar had no patience for us. He wanted to get them to come into Islam as soon as possible. Because to him, if you say you're a Muslim, you speak Arabic, that's all Muslim is. That wasn't it. And this is the same way that the Baha'is are thinking right now. We have many serious examples in the Baha'i Faith to understand this. Let me give you a couple of them anyways. The Bab was in Tabriz, just, maybe a year or two before he was martyred. Imagine these followers, they went through such a pain to bring him some gift, some honey for their beloved master to eat, to take. And Bab said, how much you bought it? They said so much. He said, I don't take it. It's too expensive. Take it back. Well, don't you think this is really breaking their heart? It's a very bad social decisions, isn't it? Their followers, they all get, heartbroken. Well, according to him, it's not. The truth has to be told, and he has said it. There was time that people came to see Baha'u'llah from long, long walks from Iran, God knows, so many months. And they come to see Baha'u'llah, and the first Baha'i in the Baha'i Faith, Mirza Aghajan Akashi, was the first Baha'i. The personal secretary of Baha'u'llah, who has answered, I shouldn't say revealed or written, but he has answered a lot of questions of the believer on behalf of Baha'u'llah, and then Baha'u'llah would review it, and he would sign it. It was that close. This fellow, he didn't understand what's going on. This is one example of taking the social mission, spiritual mission into social hand. He thought, you know what? He went and they knocked the door to see Baha'u'llah. I guess he was in prison or he was in banishment. And he said, Baha'u'llah is tired and sleeping, or he can't receive you right now. Imagine, you come so many months and this is the answer you're getting at the door. Very bureaucratic, isn't it? The matter received to Baha'u'llah, Baha'u'llah, one more time, if on my behalf you make decisions, I would have to kick you right out, mister. He didn't listen, he did it another time, and Baha'u'llah kicked him right out. The first Baha'is, he's helped so much. Very obviously, Abdu'l-Baha did not like these decisions. At the time of death, ascension of Baha'u'llah, he asked Baha'u'llah to forgive him. Baha'u'llah said, no, I won't forgive him. Broke. The heart of Abdu'l-Baha said, no, I don't forgive this guy. It just happened later on. He did the same thing to Abdu'l-Baha too. And Abdu'l-Baha said to nobody, don't call him a covenant breaker. He was keeping always with himself. But he made the boo-boo again. The first hands of the cause of God, Atimullah, Tagimullah, Ali Akbar Shah Mirzadi, and the greatest scholar of the Baha'i Faith, the one Abdu'l-Baha says, he is me, I am him. That importance was given to him. Abul-Fazl Ghorpaigani. These two guys are talking to the uncle of Nasruddin Shah about the station of Baha'u'llah, and they're not exactly calling him the manifestation of God. They just say that he's the return of Imam Hussein. And this uncle of Nasruddin Shah said, I feel so bad for you guys. I really feel bad. I said, why? He says, this guy Baha'u'llah, that you love him so much, we used to drink with each other. Me and you were drinking. What are you talking about? Which a spiritual leader? Which manifested? Which return of Imam Hussein? Abul-Fazl Ghorpaigani is about to give an answer to him, what you're talking about. Suddenly Mullah Reza, which was another third guy, he's not a very important man, he was in the back, he just got up and said, excuse me sir, you just confessed yourself to drinking, which is forbidden in the faith. Therefore, your testimony about the other one is not acceptable according to the faith of Islam. Because if you want to say somebody's drinking, you have to be a just, innocent yourself. But you have confessed your sin of drinking already. Therefore, your word about Baha'u'llah is inadmissible according to the faith. He just boom, banged his mouth from what he said. So the guy said, I'm going to do something about this. He went and took Mullah Raza separately one day. Tell him that, listen, Mullah Raza, tell me the truth. What's going on? Who is this Baha'u'llah? He said, Baha'u'llah is not the return of Imam Hussein. Who's Imam Hussein? Imam Hussein just was the Imam, a successor of Muhammad. Baha'u'llah is the manifestation of God. He is the Allah. He is the one who revealed and sent all the messengers of God. He said, oh, okay, thank you, thank you. The next day he get all the three of them together, the same uncle. He said, well, you guys are saying Baha'u'llah is the return of Imam Hussein. And Mullah Raza said he's the manifestation of God. Well, one of you are lying, because this is totally... So Abul-Fazl said, well, he's the Sufi of the Baha'is. He's just a dervish. He's, you know, into a spiritual aspect of the matter. That's not the reality and this and that. And Mullah Raza got up and said, these guys are all saying the same thing when they're alone and drinking tea and coffee with each other. Now in the front they're hiding it. The truth is what I told you, sir. You want to accept it, accept it. If you don't want to, don't. Don't accept it. The complaint went to Baha'u'llah that Mullah Raza disrupted these two greatest Baha'is of all. What do you think Baha'u'llah did? You would say socially, definitely he would have stand beside the first hands of the cause of God. This guy's martyred. Beside Abul-Fazl Gulpaigani, a huge Ayatollah, big scholar of Islam, became Baha'i. Baha'u'llah did not take their side. He said Mullah Raza was correct. This is what I mean. If it was socially this is a wrong decision. It's politically it's incorrect to break the heart, you know, of the big guys like that for the sake of Mullah Raza who's nobody. But Baha'u'llah says no, he's right. Abdu'l-Baha was right here in the US. You know Carnegie, the big guy. He was thinking himself to be a special because he had a lot of money. He sent an invitation to Abdu'l-Baha to invite him to his house. Although it's written in the Baha'i Faith, you have to accept the invitations. But Abdu'l-Baha decided not to go. I says no, and there are a lot of people here in very little time. I can't sacrifice the right of many just for one person. But he's welcome to come here and be with us if he wants to. I can't just have a special time for him. Well, people are saying, why are you doing this? This guy's billionaires. He's going to give a lot of money. We're going to build few temples. But temples and money is not as spiritual. It's not going to help the faith of God. It's going to be deja vu all over. Abdu'l-Baha said no. He did give the same answer to Lady Blomfield in England. She went to take Abdu'l-Baha to Queen Victoria. She thought, wow, my God, the Queen of England. Abdu'l-Baha said, no, not at all, just don't worry about it. In Chicago, prior to a speech that Abdu'l-Baha had to do, he's there in the corridor and kids are playing, one of them was black. And Abdu'l-Baha started, you know, to play with them. And some of the Baha'is said, oh sir, this is very incorrect racially, because if you do this, it could damage this and that and that. Abdu'l-Baha said, no, it doesn't. We haven't come to comply with the people and what they say. We have come to present the truth. The truth is that these kids have no problem with each other. Racism is the problem of adults, not children. This is what Jesus says. You have to be children to come to the kingdom of God. You grow up and you become a racist, not when you're a kid. He did not accept it. We have many, many reasons like this, that it's all politically incorrect decisions, completely. But yet they said, no, the truth has to be told. They were telling me that. Don't say it like that. You do not follow the hikmat, meaning the wisdom. This is many, many quotations are there from Abdu'l-Baha and Baha'u'llah, that we should use wisdom in our speeches, in our talk, when we're talking to the people. This wisdom that's recommended by Baha'u'llah and by Abdu'l-Baha is not to safeguard the life of the Baha'is even, or even the cause of God. It is to safeguard that this person that is trying to become Baha'i to be taught properly, slowly, not all at one time, for the spiritual sake of the person who's listening to you, not for your own sake, not for the sake of God, cause of God. If cause of God needs my wisdom to protect it, that's seriously ironic. That the person who's going to be nurtured and nourished by this cause of God, protect the cause of God. We're patient. We're not doctors. God knows how to protect it, as long as we follow it. But we can do something very severely wrong. We can change the spiritual movement into a social movement. That we kill it. It would be the worst constitution of any country, the book of Quran, the Kitab Aqdas. Make that to be the constitution of a social constitution of a country. It's a total fiasco. It's not meant for that at all. When we go to spiritual values, the laws, they become very few. There are not that many thieves that require that many police. There are not that many people addicted that we need all these psychiatric wards. It's a shortcut. Via these spiritual rules and laws, we can achieve a very great, seriously great amount of the social achievement if I approach it spiritually, not socially. Yeah, they tell me that, oh, Mr. Timuri, you're such a wise man. You were just about to have your book published among the Baha'is. Fantastic writings, poetry. Some of them was telling me that it resembles just the writing of Baha'u'llah, the poetry of Baha'u'llah. I told him it might be even better than him. But it's not his. This is where the problem is. In his word, his spirit is there, in mine is mine. When mother says to a kid, eat or don't do, or for my sake, is very, very different. Or somebody else who's not a mother and asking the same thing from the child. We people react from what our mother wants, the same word that somebody else wants. Because when your mother wants something, when somebody you love wants something, it has a different spirit in what he wants or what she wants from you. You react differently. This other guy might lure you by a lot of beautiful words and ask you, but you won't move. So sure, my writing might be very beautiful. But it's not the writing of Baha'u'llah. It's not. It's not an imitation. It's original. It's mine. It is because I read his writings, I've said. But this is what I am saying. It's not his. You got to understand the difference between the word of God and the word of people. Or else, we're going to make the same social mistakes. So they're telling me that, yeah, you should have let your book to be published. Then all the Baha'is, they know you. Now you would get big into the Baha'i Faith, become a counselor or whatever. And then once you're established, then they would say you're an elder. I told him, I know what you're saying. If I wanted to win to become an elder by the Baha'is, there are lots of easier ways to do it. But neither me or God is going to make it that easy. There has to be a spiritual movement, and a spiritual decision, and a spiritual eye. Then they know me. If that's not there, and I present myself with the cover of art, yeah, people would accept me. What is art? Art is an alteration, an expression that alters the simple truth into something very delicious, very nice, very smooth, very elegant. Well, then people are attracted to elegance, not to the substance. That is why I can't edit these videos. I let it flow as it comes out. Original, raw material, like nature. You can read it and decipher it and take what's good out of it and throw the rest of it out. And so on. This was the problem that they had with the writing of the Bab. They're telling, why do you speak like this? It's crazy. If I tell you how Bob would speak, I told you one day, you know. It's very, very amazing the way he speaks. And then he claims also, no one can match my writing. Iranians, they laugh at this. They say the man is crazy. Look how he speaks. Like that, what was that movie? I've seen it sometimes. I sometimes watch movies. That Star Wars, the little Jedi, the way he spoke, I don't know what's his name, Yudo. They put the verbs in the beginning and the sentence, whatever, at the end. Some crazy way of talking. Bob speaks like this. And then yet he says, no one can speak like me. No one can match the elegance and eloquence of my speeches and his writing. Muslim, this is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Why? Because Bob is looking for a substance. And he saw the Persian have excelled by 1 million books to the highest peak of elegance and eloquence. There's nothing matched. If you have one Shakespeare's Iranian, you have 1,000 of it. In all form, in prose, in poetry, and you know, plays, which they have it in different ways, but all kind of ways. There's no way. Bob, if we would have done, then they would tell him, oh, well, this is a copy of that guy. This is the copy of other guy. This looks like that guy. So if for this way of talking we have to call your prophet, we should call Hafiz and Sadi and Ferdowsi and Mawlavi and Jami. They're all then, you know, should claim prophets of God. Bob saw the tricks they're playing. He said, okay, he changed the style. He speaks in such a way that's totally lunacy. But if you're after treasure, you would get it. So, okay, he means this. And yet he says that nobody can speak. He's right. Try to copy it. You can't. He has made a special style of talking and speaking and utterance. He uses the most beautiful words. But he speaks a different way, a different accent. You know. Sometimes looks like when Afghanis, they speak Persian, it looks like that. For Persian, it's just very unfamiliar. But he wouldn't change. He would not edit his writings. They asked him, say it again, if this is a verse of God, can you repeat it? He said, no, it comes only once. Yes, nature doesn't repeat itself really. God, Bob, is the creator of the nature, fashioner of this world. And as you know, in the nature there's no repeat of the events. There's no mass production. Things God makes is not like Toyota that you can repeat it over and over. Everything is unique in its own. Once is made, second one is different one. So is the revelation of God. Two verses are not the same. He said it will not be repeated. And then people said, we don't understand him. Of course you don't. Who are you to understand him? So this is again, my friends, as an elder of God, I tell you, stay away from machinations, from politics, from your wisdom in representing the faith of God. Never mind what happened. You are not responsible for the consequences. Only you are responsible to deliver it the way it should be and the way it should be said. Do not use art to cover it. Don't let people get attracted to the way you talk, to the elegance of your speeches. Then they're attracted to you. Bring the word of God as it is and tell the truth. Let the whole goddamn planet go down. Just tell it. One thing you have to understand though, which we call it wisdom, spiritual wisdom. Remember that all of this revelation is for the spiritual growth of mankind. So Baha'u'llah says it's like milk. You can't just pour it all into the mouth of the kid. Just give it slowly. He says, do not tell the truth to the oblivious people. Go slowly. Tell them gradually. Let them grow. Let them evolve. For their spiritual sake. But don't bend down the rules or anything. Because this guy's a big guy. This is what the mistakes the present Baha'i administration holders have done about me. This is why I've been cast off. Let me read you some of the writing of Shoghi Effendi. This is in the World Order of Shoghi Effendi, the animating purpose of the Baha'i institutions. The Baha'is nowadays, even that Mr. Nakhjavani is one of the members of the Universal House of Justice, he's not anymore. He even was puzzled by it, that people are thinking that all the progress of God is to create more and more institutions. He was saying that we got it wrong, he says. I was telling them, I heard him. This is what Shoghi Effendi says. I need not dwell upon what I have already reiterated and emphasized, that the administration of the cause is to be conceived as an instrument and not a substitute for the faith of Baha'u'llah. There can't be anything bigger than this. And I'm not going to explain this anymore. It's clear what it is. And I'm going to continue. Quote, that it should be regarded
as a channel through which His promised blessings may flow, that it should guard against such rigidity as would clog and feather the liberating forces released by His revelations. The entire machinery cause of God, from universal laws of justice, assemblies, and anything else that comes from, it's nothing. It's nothing but a tool. Let me add to it something. Let me interpret over this something. Even all the writing of Baha'u'llah is nothing but also an instrument. Even that is not a goal. When you die, you wouldn't know much about Kitab al-Aqdas or even Baha'i Faith. Those are all in here, not back there. The whole idea of the Baha'i Faith is to get the goal of the spirituality of mankind, to make people kinder, more understanding of each other, to understand that unity and oneness, that when somebody is hurt, you are affected by it, although you may not see it, but eventually gets you. Is that when you're helping somebody else, you're helping yourself. Take it as a privilege that you have a chance to help somebody. Even the writing of Baha, an entire Baha'i faith, is also an instrument to us to become spiritual. But remember though, from this don't get it that if I'm kind and if I'm good and that then I don't need to be a Baha'i. What you call kindness is not kindness. What you call bravery is not bravery. These are the names that we give to our emotions. These are not qualities. This is window shopping. If you like the doll behind the glass and you say, oh, I love it, that does not make you to possess it. You have to go to work and suffer a week and make some money to come and buy it. So if you watch a movie or something, oh God, I feel so much. That doesn't make you kind. You're going to have to go work towards it and go get some money and pay something or do something, put your time in. All these actions of giving doesn't result in their spiritual qualities. Unfortunately not. Bill Gates can say that, I've done all the things. God says, I know, I appreciate that giving, there's no doubt. But to us, it seems that you had a hole in the pocket, or your pocket was full of money, and as you were walking, it was throwing down. People got it and changed their life. But your intention was not giving. It was more like a cow that had too much milk inside it that was exploding and killing the cow. The cow was begging to milk me out. Those giving doesn't make a person kind. I brought Mr. Gates involved here. I don't mean him really, because I'm not a judge, okay, of anybody. Only God is. It's a matter of figure of a speech. Anybody, any given Bill Gates. So remember that. To get really and truly to those qualities, we need this tool of the Baha'i Faith. And if we really, really need the Baha'i Faith to work, we do need its administrations. Without its administration, it will cause such a disunity among the people. Why? Because they are spiritual. This is the problem with the spiritual value. When you talk a telephone, so we know what the goddamn thing is. But when you say love and unity and kindness, it's abstract. It's intangible. Everybody has a dictionary of its own to define what it is and how to get there. And now we have millions of people thinking these are the things we have to do. And we don't agree. Then all of us have some followers. Now, out of our goodness, collusion of our goodnesses, not our badness, of goodnesses, we're creating all the bad things in the world. So the administration is here to unite, as Baha'u'llah says here, as Shoghi Effendi says. It's a channel to unify it. But at the same time, remember, this is not a goal. The goal of the Baha'is is not to create more and more assemblies. Continue. Quote, that the whole machinery of assemblies, of committees and conventions is to be regarded as a means and not an end in itself. That they will rise or fall according to their capacity to further the interests, to coordinate the activities, to apply the principles, to embody the ideals and execute the purpose of the Baha'i Faith. Of their mission revealed the immensity of their task and warned them of the attacks they must needs expect from the unwisdom of their friends as well as from the malice of their enemies. It is surely for those to whose hand so priceless a heritage has been committed to prayerfully watch lest the tool should supersede the faith itself, lest undue concern for the minute details arising from the administration of the cause obscure the vision of its promoters, lest partiality, ambition, and worldliness tend in the course of time to becloud the radiance, stain the purity, and impair the effectiveness of the faith of Baha'u'llah. What can I say? You know, this is all said, told. I don't know, how do they want to answer these Baha'is all over? I'm not so much taking the member of the Universal Laws of Justice responsible for what is happening. That's just stupid. It's us. We all have elected these assemblies and this National Spiritual Assembly and Universal Laws of Justice. All these big boys and girls who are writing these books, they all have gone wrong. I have not seen, for God's sake, one Baha'i scholar on the path. None of them. They're so apologetic even to talk about God. That doesn't mean this, it's something else, you know. They're totally materialistic in their heart. They don't believe there's God even. They don't believe Baha'u'llah is the prophet of God. None of these guys actually believe that. They think the whole thing is good to say it. You know, I remember Bertrand Russell who was saying that it's unfair to say there's God because it's a good idea. Even Bertrand Russell was saying that the truth has to be told. But he knew that there isn't anything. So there's another one I want to quote from Shoghi Effendi from the book Baha'i Administration. It titles The Foundation of the House of Justice. It's page 45. Let's read this. Shoghi Effendi, His Holiness. Quote, let us also remember that at the very root of the cause lies the principle of the undoubted right of the individual to self-expression, his freedom to declare his conscience and set forth his views. For this I was chastised, I was ostracized, I was kicked out of the faith of God according to them. Good, if that's the faith of God, I don't want to be a part of it. Let's do it again. Let's read it again. It may not be so big for many of you. Say, oh no, Abraham Lincoln has said that, or others. No, but this is the manufacturers of humankind speaking right now. His word is guaranteed to be right. Completely, 100% guaranteed. There's no obscurity in it. It's very clear. Take it 100%. He says again, Quote, let also remember that at the very root of the cause lies the principle of the undoubted right of the individual to self-expression, his freedom to declare his conscience and set forth his views. If certain instructions of the masters, which is Abdu'l-Baha, are today particularly emphasized and scrupulously adhered to, let us be sure that they are but provisional measures designed to guard and protect the cause in its present state of infancy. Abdu'l-Baha was always talking about the covenant breaker because there was too many of them. They had all the power and all the money. They were actually printing newspaper in Istanbul while Baha'u'llah is in prison, all blasphemous stuff. That Baha'u'llah was so angry, never seen him like this. When it comes to Azal, that guy, who poisoned the Baha'is, poisoned Baha'u'llah's hand was shaking, and he wrote so many blasphemous things related to Bob and everything else. They were publishing a newspaper there, and there was some all kind of stuff I don't want to mention here about Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah says, between me and him there's only sword. There's nothing else. You can see Baha'u'llah has some strange prayers. He complains to God. He says so many times, I promised my followers that this and this happened. It didn't happen. He criticizes God. And he says, I don't care so much what happens to me, but I feel bad for them. And he says to God, you didn't do it. This is pure spiritual, you see, guys? Pure. I complain to God all the time. I tell him, listen, I'm here, you're there. I don't know what there is, but I'm here right now. And to me, things does not seem right. Right now, I complain every day. I know many thousands people in Canada. I can vouch for good 1 million that they are ready to be martyred in the face of the cause of God. Most of them are in psychiatric wards. The guys that are called crazy. They call them manics, bipolars. They're the ones. Millions of it here. I can save them all. I know how. But I can't sacrifice my life for that because I gotta do something else. I'm just one man, you see. I cannot decide which one is more important. And I say to God all the time, what's happening and this and that, and his answer is that it's not so much that people have to become Baha'i Abbas. We could do it like this. We purposely left it so you guys can do something, gain something. Well, if I built the whole house, well, I did it, then what about you? You die and you realize you have no way to achieve nothing. I purposely left these things for you guys as a Baha'is, because non-Baha'is, they don't know anything about it. But you as a Baha'i, you can go teach. I mean, you gain attributes and qualities which are essential for your existence immediately after you die. Oh, what can I say? What can I say? All of it is nothing but a treasure of work to do. I'm not even greedy. I don't want to do it all by myself either. It's just, I'm single-handed, you see. He has some other plans, you know. What's going to come? But it's a treasure to be taken. It's the gold. Go on, teach the faith of God to people. When you're teaching, you collect enormous, like a turbocharge, all the qualities. You become kind, you become generous, you become giving, you become brave, you become the servitude. All kind of things you can achieve. And Baha'u'llah says, well, I can do it, I've done it. But I purposely left it so you guys can do it. I don't want to eat it all myself. So, but nevertheless, I tell him, I know what you say, but at the same time, it bothers me that so many are out there. He says, totally, I know, it's a big waste. But I don't need to collect it and fix it. It was for you guys to do it. Okay. The final quote from the same book, Baha'i Administration. Quote, let us also bear in mind that the keynote of the cause of God is not dictatorial authority, but humble fellowship. Not arbitrary power, but the spirit of frank and loving consultation. Nothing short of the spirit of a true Baha'i can hope to reconcile the principles of mercy and justice, of wisdom and submission, of sanctity, of right of the individual, and of self-surrender, of vigilance. Discretion and prudence on the one hand, and fellowship, candor, and courage on the other. Well, I'm getting seriously old, am I not? I thought I'm going to be dying last year, but I was, I think, 17 years old in Majidiyah of Tehran. I was teaching Baha'i Faith to a lot of kids. And then one carpenter, a Christian, Armenian, he just said that, you know, Abbas, I'm going to take you to my mother. Unusual, Armenian usually do not get involved in these Muslim things. He actually took his bike, I think a car. It was a bike or car, something, I don't know. Took me all the way from Majidiyah to Lalezar, which is kind of central, downtownish area. There was a movie theater there, I don't know, it's called the Iran Cinema or something like that. We went upstairs in an apartment, very ruggy, and so there was this old lady. She said, that's my mother. Okay. And she said to me that, Abbas, have the coffee. I said, okay. I had the coffee, thick coffee, and then she put the bag there. She says to me that, oh, you're going to pass the big waters. I said, big waters, what is that? She said, oh, I mean you're going to America. I said, me going to America? You really see that? She says, yes. She says, you're going on a road, pathways. Both sides of it are cliffs, and from there they're throwing a stone at you. Keep throwing at you. And there's a white bird on the top of your head. And she keep telling you, and you keep dodging it. And you go. And she says, oh, you have an operation at age 50. You may die, but you don't. I exactly had the operation. I broke my back. Lumbar 5 I don't have. It's all steel. So she said, looked at my hand, says here. And from here you're going to live long after. And then the Baha'is, they come and because they look at this at a social level, not as a spiritual level, they think that when I'm saying I'm an elder, I'm actually assuming a position bigger than being a Baha'i. This is 100% wrong. And I'm not trying to be humble here. I'm telling you the truth. Because an elder of God, according to Shobi Effendi, could be infinitely inferior than Abdu'l-Baha. My God, even a mosquito is not infinitely inferior than Abdu'l-Baha, because there's less than mosquitoes. The mosquito larva, for probably, is less, than a mosquito. Some germs, some bacteria. Infinitely inferior, he says. The same is not told about the Baha'is. None of the Baha'is are infinitely inferior than Abdu'l-Baha. Never has been told. No man is infinitely inferior than Abdu'l-Baha. Because more infinite than men are the animals, or the plants. But an elder can be infinitely inferior. So what am I? You think I'm a leader or something? No, boys. I've been punished by being an elder. I'm that rag, whatever you want to say it. God is using it to clean the toilet with it. I call myself an elder? Piss on that. I shit on that. F that. You think I'm that stupid? To claim something? When you claim something, you screw yourself right there. If you want to be somebody, you never put a name on yourself. Show humbleness and things like that. You get going like this member of Universal Laws of Justice. But I'm not into this social aspect of the religions at all. To me it's all games. I'm there because God decided that I should be, and I've always tried not to, and Abdu'l-Baha shouted at me, told me that you do it. I'm a Baha'i, what can I say, guys? When I see Baha'u'llah and Abdu'l-Baha tells me like that, according to the book I read, I have to follow that. That's not a dream, that's a real, that's a vision. So being an elder, 100%, if socially you want to go according to the faith of God, is less than a Baha'i. Okay, there's a lot of oscillations in between. One of them was Bob, but one of them is whatever, me. So, but Baha'is are never descended to the point that they become infinitely inferior than Abdu'l-Baha, but an elder is, actually. So what is this notion that I'm going to be a leader or something? Are you crazy? I would not accept any money to assume such a job, to be the leader of this flock. Oh God, no way. In fact, if my eldership one day by some Universal Laws of Justice is approved and accepted, I'm not going to talk to a single Baha'i in the world. Directly, okay? You know what to do. Go get on with your things. All I'm going to do is that I'm going to teach of the cause of God to others in the circumstances that does not create division. Because right now it's going to create division. If I had done it in the last 15 years, I would have probably a few thousand Baha'is in Canada. And then the faith is broken into two, And, I take the word of William Sears, The Hands of the Cause of God. He says, sometimes to be united is more important than to be right. Okay, guys?